So the next thing we'd like to do to make this a little more nice for the user is make it automatically set the map to this extent. And we can derive that information from the asset as well. So let's go back again to the methods module for GEE. Go to the bottom and we're going to create a new helper function. And really this one will have quite a bit of logic in it to extract those things. And we're going to import math. So let's import that and go look at that function. So it's called getBoundary FC for feature class or feature collection, props for the user. Okay, and what it does is it first gets the feature collection, and then from that feature collection we get the boundary info and we get the boundary coordinates from that bounding rect that it gives us. It's in a little different format than our map expects, so we remap those a little bit. What we need is min x, min y, max x, max y, and that's essentially what this is doing. And then there are a couple other things we need. We need to get the center or centroid of that geometry, which we can get, and then we need to determine what the zoom level will be when we're looking at that centroid to properly frame it. So initially the view is going to be set by looking at a center point and then zooming out appropriately to frame this. We'll also be populating this E button with a boundary, which is still mapped to Kenya right now. So to get the zoom level is a little tricky, and essentially what I did is I figured out what the diagonal distance was across a smaller country. Okay, picture a bounding box around this and computing the diagonal, and I noted the zoom level, and then I did the same for a larger country like the US, computed the diagonal and noted the zoom level, and then I used the equation of a line, a simple regression basically, to come up with an equation. This is probably not a very robust equation because I only used 2 countries in my analysis. If you were to do this and you wanted it to be more generic, you'd probably want to use a lot more sample size for that. But it works for our illustration purposes here. So then we're going to return these properties, the zoom level, bounding box, and the centroid, and we'll use that to initialize our map. So let's go to the controllers and go up to the viewer controller, and we'll find where we are initializing our map view. I passed it. It's down here. And there are a couple of things that we need to set. So first, let's call the function to get those properties. And we'll need to import that, so let's go do that from GEE methods. And this is get FC props, yeah, that top one. It knew what I was trying to do. Find our map view again, here we go. So now we have the properties and we need to plug them in. So we use them in a couple of places. So the first is here. This defines the zoom to extent button, and we want to give it that bounding box. So I'll grab that little bit. So we'll put that here. I'm using get, so this is a dictionary. I'm using the get method by the key and providing a default. So if this is not defined, it will return an empty dictionary. In that case, bbox won't be here and it will fall back to this, which will just be world coordinates now instead of Kenya. Then we'll define the center here in the MV view object and the zoom level using a similar approach. So here's the center, same thing, and here's the zoom level. and that should work. So let's go try this out. Alright, it looks good. We're framed to the US. If I pan away, press the extent button, it's back on the US. And if I load, our imagery should now be clipped to the US boundaries, which it is.